baby. You got that right. Earnings season's back. We're ready to go, man. We're ready. We love the action. First week, obviously, very focused on financials, as you'll see throughout here. So we're going to talk about a few of these earnings reports for this week. Obviously, next week will be a lot more intensive. There's a lot more reporting next week. But this week, if you're in the financial business, I mean, frankly, this does set the tone for the market, frankly, in terms of the how many times you can say frankly. But in terms of market performance, obviously the financial sector, it's pretty important. You want to see the banks performing well because sometimes it'll force people, if they see lack of performance, they might push their money out of the market, and head to safer pastures. But the thing is, this should be a pretty darn good week, mostly because of the fact that this is going to be a massive rebound. This is directly competing with the first quarter of last year, in which a vast majority of these banks saw the worst hit part of their year. This is the worst quarter for most of these banks for last year. So you're going to see some significant growth here, obviously a massive increase in cash flow when you're looking year over year. But let's get into these and see what we have going on. Tuesday is the first one with Organigram. Not quite into these financials yet. We have Fastenal and Berna. After close, we have Sea Change, Cura, and Washington Federal. Now Wednesday, it's financial time, baby. JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, and Goldman Eat My Sacks all reporting before open that day. It's going to be pretty important. I'd expect some pretty good numbers, actually. Obviously, out of JP Morgan. JP Morgan Chase, not bad. When you think about, obviously, credit industry, too, with financials, consumer spending's been at an incredible, that's right, I said it, incredible level. So with that, and given the intense consumer spending habits, obviously these credit companies are likely going to be seeing a benefit as well. Just being clear with each other, I don't think a lot of people are spending money that they necessarily have. I mean, if I'm being honest with you, people are buying everything right now. If you look at consumer spending trends, people are buying a lot of merchandise right now. So I think that's quite beneficial for these credit card companies. As far as Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, Goldman Eat My Sacks as it should be called, we'll see what numbers they put up, but I'm expecting pretty decent numbers for sure from them, no doubt. Bed Bath & Beyond after them. As I mentioned, retailers still performing pretty well. Obviously, it's going to be a massive increase year over year because this will be a time in which Bed Bath & Beyond, I can't remember if they were one of the ones that were forced to shut down, but I guarantee they probably had some locations that did, and overall demand was decreased. So year over year, you're going to see a pretty massive increase here. Going to be good for them. Now, they are going to face some headwind. I think people need to consider that this year because this is a company in which their products were quite in high demand last year, and it's going to be hard to compete with that demand. It frankly is. I can just tell you from my insight in the retail industry, there's no way this category of sanitizers, hand soaps, there's no way it's going to beat what it did last year. You're going to see decreases of probably close to 20% this year. So that is interesting to look at for Bed Bath & Beyond because that is obviously a big segment. For them, we'll see what it looks like. There's Lovesac, Infosys, and First Republic Bank. After close, Shaw, KLX Energy Services, and Green Tree Hospitality. Thursday, before open, we have TSMC. Bank of America, again, when we get into these banks. Bank of America, obviously one of the biggest banks out there, expecting some good numbers out of them. Rite Aid City, I talked about credit with JP Morgan Chase, how I think that, frankly, we're going to see some good numbers here. BlackRock, overall, out of the investing front, I would say, just given historical trends of when the market is performing very well, we tend to see a lot of people joining and a lot of people putting in a lot of assets, of course. That's why the market's going up. So BlackRock probably has a lot of good numbers in terms of assets under management. We'll see what that equates to in terms of what they can bring in. Delta, you're going to see a big thing out of airline companies, obviously. it's going to be massive in terms of year-over-year growth, because we're talking about an industry that was completely shut down for 4 months last year. Couldn't do any service at all, and it lines up with that. So pretty good numbers expected there. We've got PepsiCo. Overall, I look at what they were able to do last quarter. Their main benefit right now is the fact that they are boosted in terms of their diversity. PepsiCo owning Frito-Lay is a massive part of it. If you look, we've seen pretty big increases actually still year over year in terms of snacking. Snacking has gone up quite a bit, and you think of snacking, you think of chips. And you think of chips, you think of Frito-Lay. That wasn't disgusting, I promise. But yeah, one thing you need to look at for sure. PepsiCo, going to see an increase year over year in terms of a revenue standpoint. It's just how do they keep that trend going, That's the thing. United Health Group, U.S. Bank Corp, and Truist. After close, we have Alcoa, J.B. Hunt, Lakeland Industries, PPG, Martin, Wipro, and Caspian, okay? Now, Friday, before open, we've got another big boy of the industry, Titan, Morgan Stanley. Obviously, everyone's looking for, when these companies report, to talk about what exactly they're doing with investments and everything related to that. People watch for this, okay? It's going to be exciting to look at. We have Ally, PNC, and BNY Mellon, as well as State Street. The banks are reporting like crazy. Citizens, Financial. I mean, these places were reporting like crazy. Financials, it's always a fun week because it's something that, if it's not an industry you've necessarily looked at, obviously it's a confusing thing to look at in terms of earnings, to understand necessarily where the money comes from and what you're looking at. So obviously a good week to dig in and see what can happen. So that's what I got for you today. Really hope you enjoyed this one. We got some good ones. I hope you're ready for next week because we got some bangers. Banger alert.